how to prepare for success in a degree apprenticeship. So in this video, here's what I'm promising. I'm going to show you exactly how to prepare for success in a degree apprenticeship, right? Exactly what it says on the tin. So there's 3 steps you need to follow to prepare for success in a degree apprenticeship. It's about number 1, choosing the best company, number 2, preparing over the summer, and then number 3, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do on your first day. Okay, so just a quick introduction about myself before we start. So my name's Owen, I'm a degree apprentice myself, and I help people get degree apprenticeships. So if you're a degree apprentice yourself, or you want to do a degree apprenticeship, then I think you'd like the sort of content I put out. So feel free to subscribe right now. It means my videos are going to pop up in your feed, because sometimes if you don't subscribe, they don't pop up and you can end up missing uploads. So if you're interested in degree apprenticeships, then feel free to just go down right now quickly and subscribe right now. And then just a quick plug before you start. You don't have to worry about this now, but if you watch this video today and I impress you and you get value from this video and you're like, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, then feel free to click the link in the description and have a look at this course which I have, which is everything you need to excel in your degree apprenticeship. So don't need to worry about it now. You can open it in a new tab. Don't have to look at it or anything. Don't worry about that. But at the end of this presentation, this video today, if I've given you value and I've actually impressed you with what I've been talking about, then I think you'd be interested in this course, so feel free to have a look at that. Without any further ado, let's get into the video. I'm going to just have a drink quickly. So starting off with number 1, choosing the best company. There's going to be timestamps in the description, so if you want to go to any certain sections, just go down there and click there. Let's go. So choosing the best company. 4 things we're going to go through. Number 1, accepting multiple offers, important questions to ask, office visit, and then a sample email for you. Okay, so accepting multiple offers. What is this all about? Okay, what I did was I signed 6 degree apprenticeship contracts. Okay, and if you haven't heard that before, that might seem a bit jarring to you, right? Because a lot of companies say, oh, once you've accepted our offer or you've signed a contract, you have to work with us, right? You don't have to do anything. This isn't UCAS where there's some sort of specific system where you have to accept a firm choice and accept a reserve choice. With apprenticeships, it's sort of just jobs, right? It's you could apply for Saturday jobs at a bunch of random cafes and you could accept them all. Obviously, by the time you start on your first Saturday, you can only go to one, but you can accept as many as you want. Right, because the employers aren't talking to each other. It's not one system. It's actually just you're going to this employer signing a contract, this employer signing a contract, this employer signing a contract. Okay, they have no idea that you've signed all these ones. None of these companies would have known that I signed 6 degree apprenticeship contracts to start in September, right? Because that even in itself that would be against data protection laws if employers were sending each other details. Oh, we've got this guy, this is his name, this is his national insurance number, this is his date of birth, this is his address, this is bank account details. Have you employed him as well? They can't do that. So I signed 6 degree apprenticeship contracts. The reason I did that was because I wasn't sure which company and which apprenticeship I wanted to go with. And if you only end up signing one, it means you basically, when they call you and say, oh, you need to decide within 5 days, you then have 5 days to make a decision about your potentially the trajectory of your life, which field you're going to be going into, which degree you're going to be studying for. You only have 5 days to make that decision, right? But by signing 6 degree apprenticeship contracts myself, it meant I had the whole summer to decide which ones I wanted to do. So over the summer, I was whittling down the options. I probably had the 6 of them signed by April, May, something like that. And all I needed to do was make sure that by September, I knew the one I was going with. And as we were going along, when I knew for certain I wasn't going to do one, I'd then reject it and start going down the list of sort of active offers I have open. And eventually on A-level results day, I still had 2 offers open, right? Because it basically meant when I saw my results, saw what grades I got, and then also I still wasn't sure which field I wanted to go into. There were 2 different types of engineering basically, and I still hadn't decided which one to do. And then on A-level results day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go with this one. And that's when I emailed them, the other company, on results day and said, I'm not going with you, I've got an alternative offer. Right, so that's a sort of belief I want to break, sort of limiting belief. Because a lot of people think you can only sign one contract or accept one offer, and that just means you don't have much time to choose about a decision which could potentially change the trajectory of your life or whatever. Right, so if you do have multiple offers, that's the way to go. Basically, that's great because it just means you have more time to make a decision, right? Absolutely fine, no problem. Here are some tips though when dealing with this. As I said, the employers themselves don't talk to each other. The only problem comes when you register with the same university twice. Okay, so I'll tell you a story about this. As I said, I accepted 6-degree apprenticeship contracts. Once you sort of sign the contract with the employer, you then get asked to like register with the university, and that's where you like put your details into the university, say I've got an offer with this company, etc., and then they'll put you on their database, right? There were 2 of these apprenticeship contracts which I'd signed, which were going to be at the same university. So they were both like enrolling in the same degree apprenticeship course at the same university. And I ended up like registering with like the same university for both companies twice, right? And then what happened was the university emailed me and said, we see from our list that you've been registered with company A and company B. Which one are you going with? Maybe you've rejected one, but that hasn't come through to us yet, right? That's not a problem, right? Because it wasn't them coming at me and saying, oh, you've registered twice, you're a cheat, you're a fraud, we're kicking you off the thing. No, it's just, you're on the system twice. Which one do you want to go for, basically? And all that meant I had to make a decision then. Like, ideally, I wanted to, as I said, push the decision out to the summer, but it meant I had to make a decision within like 3 days. Which of these 2 companies do I go with? So that's when I emailed the university, and I was like, yeah, I'm going with this one. The university also emailed the employers as well, but again, wasn't a problem. I just said, yep. To one employer, I was like, no, I've got an alternative offer. The other employer, I was like, yes, I'm going with you. Okay, so that's just a tip there. Signing multiple contracts and accepting multiple offers is absolutely fine. I did it. It's just avoid actually registering with the same university twice, because that's when they are going to pick it up. Like, the employers aren't going to pick it up, because that'd be illegal, because they're like sharing data, right? But the university, because like it's one university, if you have multiple companies which are doing the same program at the same university, then the university themselves are going to pick it up. They're going to contact you. They're going to contact their employers. But even if they do, like it happened to me, you just then say which one you're going with. Like, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so avoid that just because it avoids a headache or whatever. But even if it does happen, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so accepting multiple offers is absolutely fine. So now that you have multiple offers, the next thing to think about is questions to ask. Okay, because once you have multiple offers, you want to basically go with the best company possible. Okay, you want to choose the best choice, go with the best apprenticeship, right? So you can have the most successful, like 3, 4, 5 years, potentially like the next like 30 or whatever, however long you're going to be doing this job, right? So I've just put a list here down. I put a list down here because I've seen some people asking, oh, what questions should I ask my company? Well, these are the sort of questions you can be asking. So about the university, which university? For some reason, a lot of companies aren't even sure what university they're being with. Like, they say nothing in the job description. One I asked in the interview, they didn't even know. They sort of said, oh, it might be one of these 3 universities, then listed some. And then, like, eventually, it wasn't even any of those 3 universities. It was a completely different university. Like, for some reason, they're not really sure about it. So that's a good one to ask. In this process, whilst you've got multiple offers, ask them. I'll show you, like, an email you can send in a second. But basically, it's about just asking these questions so that you can sort of understand which company you actually want to go with, so you can end up with, like, the best apprenticeship, in a sense. So then you want to ask things like if it's block or day release, because maybe you have a preference. If you want to be block releases where you do like 1 week at a time and it's like every month or so, something like that, whereas day releases where it's basically 1 day per week, every week, right? And then in-person virtual, because in COVID, a lot of universities went virtual, and then some are back to being in person, some are still virtual. Maybe you have a preference there. For me as an example, if the university was virtual, I knew for a fact that I wasn't doing it. If it was like block release or day release and virtual, I wasn't going to do it. I wanted my university to be in person, right? And then things to ask about the office, right? The location, things like flexible hours. I've just put that in bold. These ones in bold. I'll explain them in a second because those were key ones for me. Things like location, flexible hours. That means, do you have to work like a 9 to 5:30, or can you like start later at 9:30? Can you start earlier at like 7 and do a 7 to 3:30? That was a big one for me. So that's something to ask about. And this is a big one to ask about: working from home. Okay, because working from home, if that's something that interests you, you need to make sure the company offer it. because I've heard lots of stories of people coming into a company expecting they can just work from home 5 days a week or 4 days a week or whatever, and then they just get shocked by the fact that the company then saying, nope, you need to be in the office 3 days a week, right? Or you need to be in the office 4 days a week, right? So this is a really important one to check. Don't just assume you're going to be able to work from home 5 days a week and never have to go into an office. If you want to do that, maybe you're like doing a tech apprenticeship or something and you just want to work from home, fine. But make sure you check with your company, because you don't want to get like, you don't have different expectations. You turn up for day one, for example, and then you suddenly get told a line that you need to be in the office 4 days a week, and then you don't even know if you want to continue this apprenticeship or not. So that's a really key one to get sorted in advance. Do you want to work from home? Next thing is things about the companies, like what sort of projects are they working on? This was a key one for me in terms of choosing the company I went for, was the projects. Because you can ask them, like, what sort of stuff would I be working on? What projects are the team working on? And just the company I went with, it interests me more than other companies. And because that's really important, because that's like sort of the day-to-day stuff you're going to do, right? So if you can find out like what stuff you're going to be doing on the day-to-day, what projects, then that's going to be a really good indicator of, are you going to enjoy this apprenticeship, or are you going to be doing some like random stuff that you don't even care about? Another one is the team. Like, who's in the team, how big's the team, what sort of culture in the team. That's another one to ask about. And then, of course, benefits, things like holidays, things like pay rises, anything else, things like pension, volunteer days, and anything that's like some companies do, like gym memberships, all this sort of thing. That's a good one to ask about. And then finally, study days. Now, study days is a really big one. I don't see this get mentioned at all, because at the end of the day, in a degree apprenticeship, you are working a full-time job, probably like 40 hours a week, whilst also studying for a degree. Okay? So the workload's going to be big, right? To help manage it, a lot of companies offer study days. So it could be like 5 study days, 10 study days, 15 study days per year, where basically they're literally just days off work where you can just focus on just your assignments or just your revision. So it might be like before exams, companies offer you like a straight week where you can just be off the whole week before exams just to revise, right? Those are what study days are. But the thing is, not all companies give study days. There are some companies who literally do not give study days to their degree apprentices, and that's when those degree apprentices end up having to do things in their evenings and weekends or whatever, or they get really overloaded because they've got all this work commitments, these projects they're working on, they've got no time off work, and then they have to go straight into exams, or they have to do these assignments, these essays, all this sort of thing, right? Whereas there are other companies who are like, they know more about the degree apprenticeship workload, they're more forgiving about it. And they'll be like, you know what, yeah, when it comes to exams, we're going to give you some time off so you can focus on those and you can do well in those. You don't have to be getting bogged down in loads of projects, right? So that is a key one that I would ask for. I didn't even know these were a thing, but when I heard about them, then I was like, this is a massive like green flag for the company if they do study days. If they don't do study days, it's a bit of a red flag, because it's like they sort of don't want to support your learning effectively. And if they don't want to support your learning in terms of study days and university assignments and that, it's like, are they going to support your learning in terms of projects and like your professional learning, that sort of thing? It's a bit of a red flag if they don't offer study days. So that's definitely something I'd ask for, because it's like the people on my course, there's some people who don't have study days, and it's like it's so much harder for them because they're having to do all of their assignments and exam revision and all that sort of thing, whilst also having a full workload. Whereas there's other people who have study days, and it's like they can just take days off in the lead up to exams, in the lead up to assignments, and just work on those, and it means they can manage their workload a lot better. So study days is a really key one there. And basically those 3 in bold were like the key ones that helped me decide the company I wanted to go with. And I think work from home is also a key one to think about if you are interested in work from home. Just make sure you know the expectations and what's the commitment that you have to do, the demand. Is it 2 days a week in the office? A lot of companies do like hybrid working, which is where you can work from home or go in the office, but it's like it has to be a minimum of like 2 or 3 days in the office, because basically they're trying to get people back into the office, but a lot of people don't want to do it. It's just easier to stay at home or whatever. So it's just make sure you find out that commitment so you're not surprised by anything like that. Okay, so those are some important questions to ask, and I'll show you a sample email in a second on how you can ask those. But I think even better than asking those questions through like an email is getting an office visit in. Okay, like, you know the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's the same, like an office visit is worth like 1,000 questions or 1,000 answers, however we want to do that phrase, right? So companies may organize like an office visit themselves. That's really good. So they might do like an induction day, sort of taste the day, visit the office, visit the site, in like August or July or June, something like that, right? Company may organize those themselves, and that's great. So if you get that, perfect. It means you can go there, meet the other apprentices, meet the people you'll be working with, ask all your questions. Basically, all these like key questions you can go and ask them on that office visit. If they don't do that, then ask for one, 100%. Okay, because an office visit, as I said, it's worth 1,000 of these questions. You're properly gonna actually understand these questions. Okay, like understand the answers to these questions, because it's all well and great when you ask like a question, oh, what projects are you working on, and then like some like random person sort of replies, oh, at this company we do these projects. It's like, it might be quite a generic answer, or it's like, what's the team like? You can't really see. One thing that I did an office visit, and one thing I really saw was like the culture of the company. Okay, that's something you're never going to be able to see, like the culture, what's the working environment like? You're never going to be able to get that from just asking a question in an email. You're only going to get that from an office visit, right? So when I went into this office visit, I did it for 2 companies. The first one, I just didn't like the culture. It was just all sort of weird. Like, it was, I don't know, I just went into the office and it just had a bad feeling. It was like everyone was, the office was like organized like a school classroom. Right, there were like tables, and you were all like sort of sitting around this table doing work, and it was just all too like close, and like you'd be sitting next to like all your colleagues the whole day, like literally looking across from them. It was just, I just thought it was a bit weird. They were like doing the collaboration thing a bit too much. I didn't like that sort of culture. Then the next company I went and did an office visit with, they had sort of more like separate desks. So you'd have your own desk, and then like there'd be like a gap, and then someone else. So it meant you sort of had your own space. You could work on your own space. You don't have to be like, it was literally like sitting around this school classroom. Like, they didn't even have proper monitors. You just had laptops, and you had to just sit around in like a circle, like you're in like a year 2 classroom with your laptops. And I didn't like that sort of culture, that team environment, that office. And then the next company I went to do an office visit with, it was like, it was more separated. So, and you had actual like desks and like sort of like booths where you could just focus on your own work. Right, and that's what I preferred. And then other things in terms of the culture, like I could see at this one that there was a massive culture of like development, asking questions. No one has a problem if you go up and ask a question, that sort of thing. I was able to not only like see like a list of projects, but I was able to like, one of the degree apprentices a few years above like showed me what he was doing. This is exactly what I do, and he was like, I do this on CAD, and I do this, and I look at these things, right? And it was like that was really interesting. Right, so office visit is super good because you can get more of that understanding of the project, of the team, of the office, that sort of thing. You can get it from like real people rather than some sort of generic email. Right, so an office visit is definitely preferable. And just a quick one is, it's an instant red flag if they say no. Okay, and I don't think they will. I really would not expect this. If like you're a new degree apprentice, you're starting, and you haven't even been to the office once, and you're asking for an office visit, they're going to say yes, right? But I just wanted to put that line in there. If they do end up saying no, instant red flag. To be honest, personally, I wouldn't even go with that company. Because it's like, why are they being weird? Why are they not letting you go into an office visit? It's just a red flag. If they say no, I wouldn't be doing it, okay? So on top of like getting your questions asked like better, there's also another benefit of going in for the office visit. And it's going to make you much more confident on your first day. Okay, so we'll get fully onto like first day tactics, what to do on your first day, how to impress people on your first day. We'll get into that later. But just here, when I went into the office for my first day, I'd already been for the office visit. Do you know what I mean? And that means for you, it will be able to reduce the nerves, right? Because part of the first day, like being nervous, is like you don't know where you go and you don't know who the people are, that sort of thing. It's like, oh, what if they're not very nice? Well, I don't know what to do, like all this sort of stuff. I'd already been here. I knew exactly how to get into the building. I didn't need to worry about that. I knew the people. Like, I'd already met my line manager. I'd already met my team. Like, when I turned up on the first day and I, like, signed in at reception, the receptionist, like, recognized me from, like, 2 months ago. It was like, you were here before, weren't you? And then we just started having a chat, having a conversation. It's like, was I sitting there on my first day in the reception like really nervous? No, I was completely relaxed because like I knew everyone, I knew the building. I was just having a chat with the receptionist who we already knew each other, right? All this sort of thing. So it's like a bonus thing here. It's going to make you much more confident on your first day if you've already done this office visit, because it's like no longer your sort of first time doing it. Okay, so office visit, definitely 100% recommend, so you can get your questions asked and answered like better, and you can actually understand them and sort of get a feel for the culture, that the office, that sort of thing, and it's just going to make you less nervous and more confident on your first day because you've already done it. So here's the sample email. You can write, you can like just copy and paste this or whatever, take a screenshot and just write this sort of thing. This is just all you need to do. Send an email the same. Got a few questions, which would be grateful if you answer, and then put like your key questions. And then just a line here. Furthermore, I'd like to come into the office to meet some of the team if that's possible. Right? Thank you in advance for your help, and I look forward to receiving your reply. Okay? Like really simple there. And it means you'll get some questions asked straight away. Like this is where you put like the key questions you need to know like really like soon, right? And then you can like save all the other questions for like when you come in the office, right? And then usually they'll just reply with that saying, yep, no problem. They'll end up answering those questions and then also going about organising that. When you're sending this email, if you can send this email to your line manager, that's better than HR. Okay, so HR is human resources. That's like the recruiting team. The problem is with HR, with a lot of issues, not just with like an email like this where you're asking to go into the office and got through questions, with all emails in general, HR are not very helpful and they're very slow to respond, or that sort of thing. Your line manager can be a lot more on it because they're going to be working with you. They want to make a good first impression. They want to help you. They're going to be much more on it in terms of replying to this email and answering your questions and organising the office visit. Okay. So if you get introduced to your line manager, you might like get given their email or something. If you send an email like this to your line manager, that they'll be really helpful with that compared to HR, who will be a bit less helpful, and like they won't know as specific answers to your questions. Like maybe your question is what sort of projects do you work on, or what's the apprenticeship like or something. HR aren't going to really know, but your line manager will. Okay, so if you can get an email for your line manager, that's better than HR. Now, if you don't get a response, just follow up after 1 week or 2 weeks. This is pretty normal, okay? People will have like a lot of emails coming in the inbox. So it's fairly often, to be fair, where someone sends an email and they like read it. They'll read it straight away, okay? With emails, no one's like not reading it. Everyone reads it straight away, but they just don't get round to replying because they were busy with other stuff, and then they sort of forget about it, right? All you have to do is just follow up after 1 week or 2 weeks if you get no response. And usually when you send it the second time, they'll literally reply within 24 hours. It happens every single time. So I sent this email, and they actually didn't reply for 5 weeks, right? I was busy with other stuff. I think I had like exams, right? So I wasn't worried too much. But after the 5 weeks, when I like remembered, I sent this email and they haven't replied, I basically just sent a follow-up saying, I see you didn't answer this email, and then just like repeat the sort of thing you're saying. Would I be able to do this, whatever. And they replied within 24 hours, right? So it's like basically just, if they don't do it after a week, just send a second email, and literally 99% of the time, when you send a second email, a follow-up email about something, people reply within 24 hours, okay? Because it's just they saw the email, they didn't have time, or they didn't get around to it, but once they see the second one, they actually like make time for it effectively. So don't worry if like no one replies straight away. It's probably just, it doesn't even have to be 2 weeks, probably just wait 1 week and just send like a follow-up. I see you didn't see this message, and just repeat what you said, basically, okay? So that is how you send that email, sample email for you, so that you can ask those questions and also organise the office visit, which will be super useful for like knowing even more questions, for example. So that is part 1 done, choosing the best company. So now, once you've done, like you've asked those questions, you've had your office visits to companies if you've got multiple offers. If you've been watching this, it also would have been useful if you even had one offer, because it's like these questions are still like useful to know, even if you just have one company. It's just good to know. But once you know these questions, you've had the office visits, you can then decide which company you want to go with, and then start rejecting them. And then basically, you've got like the final company you want to go with for September. Perfect. You've done all your research, you've done all your questions, you've done your office visit, you'll have the best company, and it means you're going to have the most successful apprenticeship. And also, actually, before I move on, I just thought of something in my head. I just want to add something. In general, what I found with apprenticeships, now this is a very general rule, like sweeping statement, stereotype, call it what you want. big companies I find are better at like study days and things like just apprenticeships in general, right? Because in general, big companies, they take on more degree apprentices. They've probably been doing it for longer. They might have done it for 5 or 6 years, right? They're gonna know more about like the workload, this sort of thing. They're gonna be more familiar with it. They know you've got assignments. They know you've got exams. They know they need to give you study days, right? Whereas some small company who literally you're their first apprentice, and they've never had an apprentice before, they're gonna be less tuned in. They're not gonna know about, oh, there's this massive workload, and we need to support them by having these study days and that sort of thing. So that's a general sweeping statement. Of course, there's gonna be big companies who are like terrible with their apprentices. There's gonna be small companies who are great with their apprentices. But in general, I'd say bigger companies are more likely to be like helpful with study days and things like that. But that's definitely one to check anyway. That's just like a trend I've seen in general, but don't take it as like the rule, as like that every single time. There will be exceptions, but in general, I think big companies are better with study days. So let's move on to number 2, preparing over the summer. What preparation do you need to do? So there are 3 parts to this: learning, relocating, and what you need to buy. Okay, so learning. People ask me, I've been asked this question, what like learning should I do over the summer? Should I be like learning stuff in preparation for my apprenticeship? Should I be like researching the topic, learning this software, whatever, all this sort of thing? And this is why I say every single time, do none. Okay, there's absolutely no point. Do none and just enjoy your summer. Okay, and the reason I say that is 2 reasons. Number 1, it's probably going to be the last like full summer you're going to get. So that definitely, if you've done A levels, you've just finished year 13, and then you're moving on to a degree apprenticeship in September. It's like this is going to be your last summer where you have like 2 months, 2.5 months, whatever it is, of just not having to do anything. So just enjoy your summer, okay? Because it's like the last one you're going to get. After that, it's like you then have like 25 days holidays, 28 days holidays, 30-day holidays a year. It's like you're not going to be able to take a 6-week, 8-week holiday anytime soon, right? So it's just enjoy this sort of last one you're going to get definitely for a while. And the second reason is because there's not really any point, because you're not going to know what to learn. So it's like, okay, maybe you're doing like a civil engineering degree apprenticeship and you like start like trying to learn civil engineering. You're going to be sort of learning random stuff that won't even be relevant to your job or relevant to your degree or whatever. So there's just no point. And it's like, if someone asked me, oh, should I learn CAD? Should I learn the software? It's like, you wouldn't even be able to get licenses for the software. Like the software you're going to use on your degree apprenticeship, you wouldn't even be able to get licenses for it unless you want to pay like £300. So you wouldn't even be able to learn it. You wouldn't even be able to practice. And also on top of that, there's just no point. Because say you like learn something, right? They're going to retrain you on it. Like they're going to train you on it anyway when you start. Because when you start, it's a degree apprenticeship. They know you don't know anything, right? They know if you're doing civil engineering degree apprenticeship, they know you've done no civil engineering before, right? Or if you're starting an electrical engineering degree apprenticeship, they know you've done no electrical engineering before. They know like you might have done maths A level, physics A level, but they know you've done like no actual electrical engineering stuff before. Like, for example, if you're doing a digital and technology solutions, you might not even have done coding before. Like, you might not know how to code. It doesn't matter. That's what the degree apprenticeship is about. It's about teaching you. They're going to teach you, like, at the job with the employer, but then also they're going to teach you things at university, right? So there's just no point really going and learning things. It's just not practical. You're probably not going to be able to get the software. You're not going to even know what to do. And then even if you do, they're going to train it anyway because they assume everyone's at zero, so they have to, like, train you. So whatever you learn, you just get trained on it again in like September, October, whatever. So it's like there's no point. You've just wasted your time. So don't worry about like doing any like specific learning to try and get ahead, to try and impress anyone. There's just no, it's not worth it. There's just not an ROI there. It's better just to enjoy your summer so that you're fresh. And then once you start in September, it's like when you start learning things, you can then start making really good progress there. That's the better way of doing it, rather than sort of like hating your summer and then burning yourself out or whatever, and then getting to like September and you've been like working hard for 2 months on like learning some random thing that's not even relevant to your apprenticeship that your line manager doesn't even care about. Like you're not going to, it's not going to like impress anyone crazily. What's going to impress someone is when you start in September and you make really good progress and you're working really well and you're like working on projects in like October and November and you're like helping the team and you're helping the company and making the business money. That's what they're going to like. They don't care that you did some like learning thing over the summer. Okay, so Don't worry about it, just enjoy your summer. Now, relocating. This is something I didn't even know was a thing. So before I started an apprenticeship, basically, I didn't even know relocating was a thing people did. I thought people just stayed at home and just did a degree apprenticeship, but relocating is definitely a thing. So it's if you live in Manchester, there are people who go and get a degree apprenticeship in London. It means you then need to go and relocate to London, because of course you're not going to go to from Manchester to London every single day. So you're going to have to relocate, rent a place in London or whatever so that you can work there. So if you're not sure yet, this is basically if you live close to your degree apprenticeship, right? So with your parents, and you have the option of either staying at home with your parents or relocating, and you're not sure which you want to do yet, then here's what I'd say. Make a list of all the pros and cons of relocating. Actually properly think about it before you jump into it and make the decision, because there's a lot of pros and cons of each. So if you were to relocate, so move out of your parents' house and go and rent somewhere, then there's pros to that. It might potentially be closer to the office, which is going to save you time. It means you have your own place, sort of freedom, if you want to call it. You can do whatever you want, have whoever you want round. And it's probably going to save you money on travel or whatever, public transport. If say you live in the countryside or something, and if you're with your parents, you'd have to get the bus in or the train in or something. Say you went and rented in the city, you could literally be a 5 or 10 minute walk from your office. That's going to be great in terms of time and freedom. But then also there's cons of that, and that is things like money. It's going to cost you loads to rent. So it's your parents might charge you a bit of board, a bit of rent, but it's going to be nothing compared to actual commercial rent that you're going to be paying if you relocate. If you relocate, it could be £1,000 a month, right? And then if you're getting a £22,000 salary, it's that's £12,000 straight away. You now only have £10,000 left in your salary, and then we haven't even thought about tax there. You have 10,000 left. Then there's also bills like food and water and all this sort of thing that you have to worry about, and electricity and probably council tax. I don't know if you have to pay that when you're renting, but it basically means you're going to have way less money if you're relocating, and also on top of that, you're sort of going to have to spend time, I guess, doing all the cooking, doing all the cleaning, all this sort of thing, whereas if you're at home, you'd have to do less of that because potentially your parents are still doing the cooking or whatever. So if you're not sure if you want to relocate, definitely have a think of all those pros and cons there. Yes, you might be closer to the office potentially. Yes, you have sort of the freedom, you've got your own place and that's all nice, but it is going to cost you a lot of money, a lot more money, and also you're gonna have to spend a lot of time, a lot more time doing all the chores, whereas at home maybe you do some of the chores, or you maybe do them every now and then or whatever. When you have your own place, you are responsible for it. You're going to have to do everything, so it's a big money and time commitment. So I just say make that list and have a think about it, which one seems good to you. Of course, if you're 100% sure you're definitely staying at home, perfect, nothing to worry about there. Now, if you're definitely relocating and this one isn't an option, there isn't even an option to stay at home, so as I said, maybe because you need to travel across the country or whatever, there's two pieces of advice I have, because I think a lot of people sort of don't know where to go with this, because how do I even start if say relocating to some other part of the country which you've never even been to. Number one, ask the company for advice, okay? Because there are some companies who they have specific guidance on relocating because they know people are going to need to relocate. Okay, so let me give you an example. There's one company I got an offer with, and signed a contract with. They sent out a document of basically listing the best areas to live around the office. So there was the office location, and they basically listed a bunch of areas. Oh, this is where you could live. There were six or seven areas. And it was listing the pros and cons of each one, what amenities there are in the area, average cost, crime rates, all this sort of thing. And so basically you go through and be oh, okay, there's this part of the city that it's recommended. Yep, there's lots of restaurants, lots of amenities. Oh, but the rent here would be really expensive. And it had a bar chart of these are average rents per area. And that's oh, there's this little town here. You could come here, rent's a bit less, and there's a bit less amenities, but it is going to cost less, bills are less or something. So that's something I'd definitely ask the company about. You might not have thought about that, but ask the company, because a lot of them have processes for helping people relocating. They might have that sort of document they send out, and your company might do that, where they send out these are all the areas around here, and sort of an overview of where to live, because it means at least you have a place to start. Because you're okay, these are the areas, this area sounds good to me, I'm going to come into this area and I'm going to go have a look, see what I can do. Some companies have specific like relocation officers or like relocation like HR people who like are specifically there to talk to you, support you, like talk you through relocating. And then also some companies actually do like relocation packages where they'll literally help, like they'll give you money to help you relocate, right? So because they want you to work for their companies, they're going to help you financially, right? So there are some companies who do that. They're very on top of relocation. That's great if you can do that. Just ask the company if they have any sort of relocation like advice or procedures or anyone I can talk to, that sort of thing, because some companies do that. Again, there are some companies who don't do that, but if you're in a company who doesn't do that, don't worry, there's still an option, and that is get in touch with some of the current apprentices, right? Because maybe the company doesn't have like an official relocation like employee or relocation procedure or policy or whatever. Fine, get in touch with some of the current apprentices, because likely at the company that like maybe second year, third year, like whatever, that sort of thing, likely some of them will have to have relocated. Not all of them will be living at home. Some of them have had to travel from a new area. So they'll have already gone through this. You don't have to like go through all that. I don't even know what to do when I'm relocating. Just use the knowledge of someone else because they've already gone through. So if you can get in touch with some of the current apprentices, and this is what I did. Someone asked me at my company, like a new person who's joining, where would be good places to live, and like what's the process for relocating. Our company doesn't have any like specific policy or any like thing like that. So I just sent them to the apprentice above me, who she like moved from a completely different area to this area to do this degree apprenticeship. So she's like had to go through the whole thing of finding an area, what do you do, signing a contract, finding a place, renting, all this sort of thing. So if you can do that, just get in touch with some of the current apprentices, get like their email, and then you can email them asking like if they relocated, and then when you find like a degree apprentice who relocated, then you can ask them to like walk you through the process. What do you need to do? Okay, so that's the best advice there. A lot of people don't think about this. They think they have to be on their own. You don't have to like be on your own going through this whole relocation thing. Ask the company and ask any current apprentices, because like there's been some current apprentices who have had to relocate. They're going to know like which areas are good for renting. They're going to know like what the process is, where to even start. So get in touch with them and use them. Right, what you need to buy. So companies provide almost everything you might need. Like they pay for and provide. So I had someone asking me like, what specifications do you need on a laptop for a degree apprenticeship? Because they thought like you needed your own laptop to do project to like work, but no, you get given a work laptop. Like it's all given to you. You don't even need like things like pens and paper, because like offices have like stationary parts where they have like notebooks, pens, paper. So it's like famously people just go in there and nick a whole bunch of pens and notebooks and that sort of thing. So you don't even need that. And also PPE. So PPE is things like a high vis or a hard hat. If you're working in some sort of manufacturing apprenticeship, then it might be like overalls, that sort of thing. Companies provide basically almost everything you need. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about like maybe like before school in the summer holidays, your mum would take you to like a shop and you'd have to like buy exercise books or buy some pens or something, or like a calculator to get ready for like the school year or whatever. With a company, for what you need in an apprenticeship, like a laptop, pens, papers, PPE, you don't have to worry about that. The company are going to provide you that. Like you're going to get your laptop on the first day. Only thing you need to buy is just buy your clothes for your first day. Okay, that's like the only thing you need to get. For most people, it's going to be like, if you're working in an office, it's going to be smart stuff. So if you're like working in some sort of manufacturing apprenticeship where you're like going to be in a factory or a manufacturing facility, or going to be like on site or something, then it'll be different because you'll be wearing like the PPE or given like overalls or whatever, some sort of polo shirt or whatever it'll be, right? High vis, hard hat, right? So that'll be slightly different. But for most people, especially if your apprenticeship is just going to be office based, it's all about just like, it's just smart office wear, really. That's all you need to buy. And you probably might not have something that's suitable if you went to sixth form. Maybe your sixth form like required a suit, maybe you didn't. This is what you need to do for men. Just get a suit from M&S, Next or Moss, white shirt and black shoes, and just get those for your first day. Okay? With suits, the more you pay, the better quality it's going to be. Okay? So this is basically the order of like how good these suits are. M&S suits are kind of trash, but they'll be like the cheapest you can get. Then there's like Next, and then there's Moss. And Moss is the one I go for. They're like fairly expensive, but they are good quality. And Moss is like, it's a brand you can find inside M&S or inside Next. It's sort of like at the lower end, there's like the M&S own brand. Then there's the Next own brand, and then there's like the Moss, which is like a brand that they sell inside Next, and they sell it like inside M&S, right? And like I got Moss because it's a very good suit. It's like these are fairly expensive, so when you're talking a suit, it can be like 100, 150 pounds, 200 pounds, that sort of thing. This is why I say just buy it for your first day. Because when you're thinking about, oh, I need to buy a suit for my apprenticeship, it's like, how many do I need? Do I need 2 or 3? And then you're like, do I want to buy? Like, just forget that. Just buy 1 pair for your first day, just to get that over the line. And then after that, then you can worry about, okay, maybe I'll need another suit, so I have like 2 or something, right? But just don't worry about that. Just buy clothes for your first day. Get a suit from M&S, Next, or Moss. The more you're willing to pay, like the better. So Moss is a really good one. I bought it. And then my friend, who was also starting a job, we found it like 3 months. He was like, I was like, oh, what suit do you wear? And he was like, oh, I wear Moss. And it's like, yeah. So Moss is a really good one. Then you just get a white shirt and black shoes. Right, simple as that. If you don't know what to wear, that's exactly what to wear. That's like sort of what office wear is these days. It's basically a suit with no tie. Of course, your company might be different. Okay, so if your company's different, then of course follow that procedure. But in general, office wear in 2024 is like a suit with no tie. So that's what you need. M&S, Next, Moss. When you're shopping, go in store. That's better than shopping online. Okay, because when you're buying like a t-shirt or shorts or something like that, you can probably get away with online because it's like the sizes are all sort of same. You just get like a medium or a large or whatever, right? And just like whatever, right? With a suit, suits are all fitted like really weirdly. They have like different sizings and all this sort of thing. Like some can be the same size, but they fit differently, right? So suits you really want to be trying in the store to make sure they actually fit. And especially because you probably want to like look good in your suit when, you know, like first day of like year 7 or first day of year 7, there are loads of people who just have like blazers or jackets, like suit jackets that are just way too big for them, and it looks kind of goofy, right? That was what I wanted when I was getting my suit for my apprenticeship. I wanted it to fit well. I didn't want some like suit that was like massive, way too big for me. It made me look like a year 7 who's like mum has bought him uniform to try and get him through the whole of the next 5 years, expecting him to grow or that sort of thing. So I wanted one that like fit well. And so yeah, I went with Moss. In store, 100% better than online. For women, I don't have any advice for you. Just wear whatever you need to wear for your first day. I don't know. But for men, just get a suit. That's best for most people, and that's the only thing you need to buy. Just get that for your first day, then you can worry about doing things for later. Okay, so there we go. That is now all the preparation you need to do over the summer. I'll do a quick summary while we're at it. Learning, do none. Relocating, if you are relocating, ask the company and then ask some apprentices. That's where you'll get like the best specific advice for your location. I can't like tell you right now, oh, these are the areas in London that you need to go to. Like, it'll be specific to your location, your company, your budget, all this sort of thing. So just ask the company for advice and ask like for the current apprentices. And then what you need to buy, just everything's provided. Just get clothes for your first day. For example, a suit. For men, that's standard in most offices. Of course, could be different. Follow that policy. But if it's just a normal one, then M&S, Next, Moss, try that in store. So now we're going to move on to your first day. So I've had a lot of questions about your first day. A lot of people want to know like what to do on your first day, what to expect, all this sort of thing. First day can be like quite nervous for some people, so hopefully I'll cover that in this section. Okay, so we're going to cover types of first day, mindset, step by step what to do, and tactics to make the best first impression on your first day. So types of first day. These are in general the types of first day you are going to get with a degree apprenticeship. Okay, and number 1 is like a sort of fun activities, outbound, icebreaker sort of day. And this is something you're more likely to get with like bigger companies where they have like a big cohort of apprentices. Maybe there's like 20, like 12, like 30, whatever, 16, 10, right, apprentices starting in the same company at the same office on the same day or something, and they might do like a fun activities like outbound sort of icebreaker, like team building sort of day, just to sort of induct you, like introduce you to each other, introduce you to the company, sort of just give you a nice start. And if you do that, nothing to worry about. You're just doing fun activities, right? If your company doesn't do that, then the other type is just like a boring admin day. Basically, it's like you get given your laptop, you have to like sign in, create your password, and then create all your accounts, learn about all the different like systems, and basically just watch a bunch of training videos. It's a lot of corporate stuff. It's just a boring admin day like that. So really, if I make that smaller, really on your first day in terms of mindset, like you don't need to be nervous. Like it's really nothing major. It's literally just either a fun team building activities day you don't have to worry about, or it's just boring like watching videos and like signing up and signing your contract and getting like your HMRC payroll set up, getting your bank account set up, probably like checking your passport, all this sort of thing, right? You really don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go into this first day like expecting, like thinking that you need to like perform, you need to succeed, anything like that. It's like the company know you don't know anything. Okay, you're starting as a degree apprentice. A lot of people are just going to be straight out of year 13. If you're doing like engineering, you might have never done engineering before. If you're doing DTS, you don't even have to know coding to do digital and technology solutions, DTS. Right? The company know you don't know anything. If you're joining something that's like a senior project manager when you're 45, yeah, they're probably expecting you like within like the first week or first couple of days, they're going to put you on a project. They're expecting you to perform. You need to be managing this project well. You need to be like talking to, like managing your team members, managing the budget, all this sort of thing. Like they're expecting you. You're like 45 years old. You're a senior project manager, right? You're a degree apprentice. Most of you are going to be 18. The company knows you don't know anything. Another thing is the company wants you to succeed. Like this whole degree apprenticeship is about your learning, about your development, doing this degree, learning how to do this job, like developing to become like a proper like senior engineer or a senior project manager or a senior like paralegal or whatever your apprenticeship's in, right? The company's on your side. Again, compared to if you're like 45 years old becoming a project manager, the company's kind of indifferent to you. They just want to see, is there a good project manager here or is there not a good project manager here? And if you're not, they're going to try and get rid of you as soon as possible, right? But when it's a degree apprentice, it's like they're on your side. You're sort of their little trainee for the next 3, 4, 5 years. They want to like nurture you and develop you and make you a really good employee. Okay, because that's the positive about degree apprenticeships. They get to like train you exactly how they want. They get to nurture you exactly how they want, compared to someone who's like come from university and they've got all these like beliefs already and like these ways of doing things. This is one of the positives of degree apprenticeships. They get to train you from day one, so they can like mold you basically into the perfect employee. They want you to succeed. So you don't have to impress with any like knowledge on your first day. Don't worry. On your first day, you're not going to have to design an engine or design a bridge or like a code like the front end of a application or like the back end of a website. You're not going to have to do anything about that. The only thing really you need to impress with on your first day is just social skills. Okay, it's just leave a good impression. Okay, leave a good impression that you're like a normal person who's going to be like a good member of the team and you're kind of nice to talk to. That's about it. You don't have to leave an impression saying you're going to be the best degree apprentice who's going to like be able to engineer a bridge and design an engine and code like the whole of Amazon Web Services, right? It's just about, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just, I say, just try and impress with social skills so that you can leave a good impression. That's probably the most useful thing you can do, is just impressing with those social skills. So in a second, I'm going to get to some tactics, like how exactly to impress with social skills during the day. We'll get to those in a second. But just before that, I'm going to do a step-by-step what to do. Okay. And now this section is going to seem kind of stupid, right? Because I'm going to go in like ridiculous detail on exactly what to do on your first day. But I think a lot of people get nervous about things like getting into the building. Like something as simple as like getting into the building. How do I even do? I don't know who to talk to. I don't know where to go. They get nervous about that. So this is going to like, the detail is going to like be kind of stupid while we're going through this. It's a bit goofy, right? But there'll be someone out there who's watching this video who gets value from this. And it means they're like less nervous going into the building. They know what they're doing. Okay. Which is why I'm going to do this. Okay. So first of all, get to sit your location 30 minutes earlier than you would. Okay, so say like your start time is like 9 a.m. for your first day. Likely it's going to be like 9 a.m., 9:15, 9:30, 10 a.m. It's going to be a bit later. It's not going to be like at 8:30 or 8 a.m., 7 a.m. start usually, because it's like the line manager wants to get into the office and like actually like get ready before they then start your first day. So it might be like 9:30, something like that. Say it starts at 9:30 and like there's a train which gets in at 9:20. That's the one you would like usually get, and eventually when you continue your job you'll always get the 9:20 in or whatever. Like you get the one in that's 10 minutes before. This time get the 8:50. Okay, so like 40 minutes before. So just whatever train or whatever bus, or if you're driving, get one which is 30 minutes early. Get there 30 minutes early. Because what it means is if a train just doesn't turn up, which happens, or if a bus just doesn't turn up, which happens, it means you can then like get the next one, which is 30 minutes later, and you're still going to get there on time. Okay? Because like if the train doesn't show up and you end up being late for your first day, it's not going to leave a good impression. Like I know it wasn't your fault, even though it wasn't your fault, like the train didn't show up, right? Or the train got cancelled. It's still going to leave that bad impression. Even though you can tell them, yeah, the train got cancelled, and they'll be like, oh yeah, no problem, not your fault. You've still sort of left a bad impression psychologically in their head, okay? And that's on you, okay? You need to take accountability for that. Make sure you're getting there at least 30 minutes early. So me on my first day, I got the train 30 minutes earlier than I needed to, and then I just sat in the train station for an extra 30 minutes, right? But it's like I'd prefer that than I get to the train station, like the last train I could possibly get and it gets cancelled, and then I'm like, I'm going to be 30 minutes late to my first day because I have to get the train after that. Okay, so get to the city or location 30 minutes early. And then enter the office building 15 minutes before the start time. Okay, you don't want to enter at the start time because there's stuff you have to do with like security, reception, going up to it and all this sort of thing. You want to make sure you're going in about 15 minutes before. Okay, that's what I do. I think that's a good time. So usually this is how offices work. If you're like a company who like maybe like an engine company or a car company and you have like specific manufacturing facilities, then you'll have something like you have your own facility. It'll be different because you'll just have one reception. But in general, if you're just working for an office job, the way it works is you'll have like an office. It might be like 20 stories. If you're in London, it might be like 100 stories, right, or whatever. And you have like different companies on each floor. So some companies might have 3 floors, some companies have 1 floor, some companies have half floors. But basically, it's this big office building, bunch of different companies in there, and it's managed by like one reception at the bottom, which is like a sort of generic office reception. So what you're going to do is go to the ground floor, enter through the doors, and just go to the office reception and say it's your first day. They'll take your name, they'll take your company and whatever, and they'll probably like print you off like a visitor's pass or something like that, and they'll just show you to the lift, they'll show you to the stairs, and they'll be like, right, you need to come here and you need to go to floor 3. Okay, so that's that. You then get in the lift or go up the stairs or whatever, go to floor 3, and then you're sort of going to be on the floor where your company is. Okay, usually at this point, this is where there ends up being like 4 doors around you. Like you come out the lift at floor 3 and there's like 4 doors around you and you don't know which one it is, right? Either follow someone if there's like someone doing it, or ask someone if they're there, like, oh, where's the reception? It's my first day. Everyone will be really nice, by the way. Or just look for the door which has like a doorbell on, because usually your visitor's pass isn't going to work on the company door. Okay, so if there's one with a doorbell, just press the doorbell and then the receptionist will buzz you in, like the company receptionist. Okay, so this try and picture this in your head. We've got a big office, we've got a generic office reception at the bottom, okay, on the ground floor right next to the doors. You go into the ground floor office reception, get a pass, then you go up in your lift or your stairs or whatever. That's when you're on the floor of your company, and that's when you need to press the doorbell or ask someone or follow someone, and then you're going to get let into the company reception. It might seem kind of complicated. If you have to like watch this section again just to understand that, no problem. And then you go into the company reception, and that's when you just go to company reception, say it's your first day, they'll take your name, and then usually they'll just say, okay, I've emailed you or messaged your line manager, just you can wait here in reception, and they'll cut you. Okay, so that's the exact process to go through. There'll be someone watching this too that's literally like eliminated like 90% of their nerves, because they were literally nervous about how do I go into the building and what do I say. That's how you do it. Okay, office reception, go up, press on the doorbell, because like the doors will be locked. Press on the doorbell or ask someone or follow someone. Don't worry if there's loads of doors, it doesn't really matter. Like you really don't have to worry about this. Say you like try and open the wrong door, like it doesn't matter, no one cares, right? Just find the reception, company reception, just ask someone, that's probably easiest, and then just go there, say it's your first day, and they're going to message your line manager and just wait for you to collect you from reception. Okay, that's like the typical office. That's how it works. Obviously, if your office is different, or you have like you work at like a company which has like a specific like headquarters, then it'll be slightly different. But in general, that's how it works. Okay, so Now that you know what to do, and you know like that's like how to get into the building, that's how to start. And then once like your line manager collects you from reception, that's when your like first day will start. They'll then take you to your desk and then give you a tour of the office, and then talk to you, and then give you a laptop, and then start doing this and whatever, and answer any questions you have, whatever. That's when it starts. That's just step by step how to get into the building, because I know there's someone whose like nerves have just been like eliminated because now they don't have to, like, people overthink about literally how to walk into the office. That's exactly how you do it. Okay, you can even like screenshot this page right now so you have it on your phone on your first day, so you can like quickly check it and be like, oh, okay, so I need to go to the office reception and then this, then this, and then this. All right, okay. So tactics to make the best first impression. Wow. Talking makes you thirsty. All right. Okay. So as I said earlier, the best first impression is through social interactions. It's not through work. You don't have to design a car on your first day. It's just about just be like a nice, friendly person on your first day, and then your line manager's going to like you, your team's going to like you. As simple as that. Okay. And to use you on your first day, as I said, it's in an office. If you're not doing like a outbound onboarding thing, I've sort of ignored that, because if you're doing that, it's absolutely fine. But eventually you're going to have like your first day in the office. Like, even if you do have an outbound day, it's like maybe on your second day, or like maybe they do a week of outbound. I know some companies do that. On your second week, you're then going to have to do this boring admin day in the office. So this is going to be applicable to everyone, really. You just end up like just signing onto your laptop, watching some videos, signing some things, like putting in your passport, meeting the team, getting a tour of the office, maybe meeting some other apprentices, that sort of thing, right? When you're meeting the team and like meeting your line manager and going through, it's just about social interactions, just giving a good impression here. So I've got a bunch of tips for you here on basically how to give the best first impression through social interactions, okay? So number one is go for handshakes when you meet people, okay? I'll show you how to do handshakes in a second. Like, as I said, in this video, we're doing stupid detail. And for some of you, it may seem kind of like stupid, like the amount of detail I'm going into it. But I know there's someone watching this video who's literally overthinking right now, how do I even do a proper handshake? Don't worry, I'll cover that. But basically, when you meet people, just go in for a handshake every time. There was in COVID, like social distancing, don't do a handshake. Like, do like the Boris Johnson elbow. Boom. Right? No one does that anymore. No one really cares about handshakes. Obviously, there'll be like that one person, fine, who still wears a mask and wants to like not shake hands and has hand sanitizer, like fine, whatever, right? But 99% of people are absolutely fine with handshakes now. It can be kind of awkward if you're like, the thing with handshakes is like, should I handshake them? And then you're sort of standing there like, oh, do I handshake? And then it's all kind of awkward, right? It's like, just do the handshake. If you go in for a handshake, no one's going to not handshake you. So it's like, either you can stand there sort of all awkward and nervous thinking, oh, should I handshake this person or should I not? Just you be the person to do the handshake. It's going to be polite and they're going to respect you for it. So they're like, oh, this guy's very polite, he's very formal. When you're meeting someone, you just go into the handshake. Be the person who's going to make that decision, be active about it. It means you don't have to stand there like being nervous, like, should I handshake their hand? Because then you're overthinking and then you're not even listening to what they're saying. And then like they suddenly stop talking and you don't even know what they've said and then you don't know what to do. And it all just becomes awkward because you were too busy thinking about, should I handshake them or not? Just as a rule, in general, when you're meeting people on your first day for the first time, just go in for handshakes. Okay? Here's how you go in for a handshake. Yep, I said we were going in detail on this. Let's start off with this one. Okay? If it loads. Right, so here you see right hand, right hand, right hand, boom. Right hand, okay? So don't actually do it in that speed. This is like a clip from Wolf of Wall Street, like behind the scenes, where they were going like 3, 2, 1. Let me make myself bigger so you can just see me. Don't look at these other ones yet. Just look at this one on the left. They were like 3, 2, 1, action, and then like that's why you're so slow at the start. So don't. If you actually on your first day do a handshake like this, right? Someone's talking to you. You meet them for the first time, right? And you just stand here like this, looking here, and then you slowly move your hand in. Don't do that, okay? Because that is weird, right? But I just wanted to show you this just to show right hand, you go in. That's the right hand. It's always the right hand. Right hand, go like this might be left on your screen. I don't know. No, it should be right. Right hand, always right hand. I don't care if you're left-handed or any of that stuff. The convention is right hand. If you go and shake someone with your left hand because you're left-handed, you're going to confuse someone, okay? It's always your right hand, and you just need to do one hand, okay? So let's look at this one on the right now. if it loads. Okay, that lagged for a second. Boom. Okay, simple as that. That's the grip you want to have. Okay, you just go in like that. That's the exact grip, and you sort of hold it, and you just do like 1 or 2 shakes. Okay, this was me at like a networking event, and there was some photographer going around taking photos, and they got this photo of me like handshaking. Right, that's exactly how you do it. You just handshake. One hand. You don't have to do like you might have seen Donald Trump where he like handshakes, put the second hand round, like slap you on the shoulder, like start grabbing you, pull you in, all this sort of stuff. You're not Donald Trump, okay? You don't have to be doing some crazy like power grab, like what's the phrase? You don't need to exert your dominance. Is that a phrase? You don't need to do that, okay? You're just a degree apprentice doing a handshake. You're not the president of the United States, okay? So just one hand, get a grip like that. Always go in with the right hand, like this one. Like that right there. Right hand, 1 or 2 shakes. That's the grip you're going for. And in terms of grip, because this is a thing a lot of people say, is make sure you like grip fairly hard when you're doing a handshake. That's a lot of things that get, if like you get handshake advice these days, it's like grip hard. And it's like, the reason for that is because you don't want your hand to be like super floppy, and then it's just a poor grip and it feels weird, and the person kind of loses respect for you. Like, I'll be honest, if I have a handshake with you and your like hand is like super floppy, it's all a bit weird, right? So you don't want your hand being super floppy, but at the same time you don't want to squeeze too hard. In general, I thought about this the other day when I was making this slide. You sort of want to imagine how much like force you have to hold your phone with. Okay, so you wouldn't like squeeze your phone like that, right? But like your phone, you got to be holding like that. Like when I was thinking about it, I was like, that's like a right sort of pressure. It's like, imagine you holding your phone on the side like that. You have to hold it like that, right? And it's like you couldn't hold your phone super weak, otherwise it would just drop. But you're not going to like sit here and like crush your phone until your knuckles go like white, right? Just imagine you're holding your phone, and that's sort of like the thing you want to do. So it means it's like, it is firm because you're like holding it, but it's not going to hurt anyone. Because like you can, to be honest, in general, you can like, when you're doing a handshake with a man, you can like squeeze pretty hard and it won't really matter. If you squeeze too hard on a woman, like it's not going to be good, right? It's actually going to hurt them. Okay, so you don't want to squeeze too hard. But it's just sort of imagine you're doing a phone. It's like it wants to be firm enough so that you're like properly like holding hands or whatever. But don't like start doing any dominance, like shaking your hand as like doing it like squeezing as hard as you can. If you're having doing a handshake with your friend, like sure, squeeze as hard as you can. But when you're doing this in the office, okay, just sort of imagine you're holding your phone. That's how like hard you want to be doing it. Sort of just make a connection, but don't start squeezing it. Just make that solid connection. Right hand, look them in the eyes if you can while you're doing it. But if you need to like look down to check your hand placement, don't worry about it. That's the hand grip. And like if you like, that's how you do it. And if you want to like after this video, or even right now, just I don't know, go up to someone who's, if you're watching this at home, go up to like someone who's downstairs in the kitchen, just practice a handshake with them. Absolutely fine, no problem. That's like the best way of getting good at handshakes. I've taught you all the theory I can here today, but even better than that is if you just go and practice with someone. So what I've taught you today, go and practice. That's your actual step you need to do. Go literally practice a handshake with someone like 5 times in a row. Okay, right, so that is handshakes covered. So go in for handshakes when you meet people, otherwise it can be kind of like it'll make yourself feel awkward and you'll feel nervous if you're sort of standing there like, should I handshake them? It's going to put you at ease and they're actually going to respect you more because you're going to be like, yo, this guy's kind of polite and like formal when you're the one who goes into a handshake every time you meet someone. Number 2, smile and make eye contact. Just smile. Yeah, just you don't have to be like mysterious, like not smiling or anything. Just smile. Just be really smile. Like the more you smile, the more people like you. I've mentioned this before. A book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Do I have it? Yes, I do. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It mentions in this book, smile, and people will just like you more. So just make sure you're smiling and just make eye contact as well. This is another thing, people are like afraid to make eye contact. Just stare at people in the eyes when you're talking to them. I think when you ask about eye contact, a lot of people say like, oh yeah, make sure you make eye contact, but don't do too much, otherwise it's weird. And it's like, that's just sort of wishy-washy advice that doesn't help anyone, because it's like, okay, well then how much do I eye contact? Like, it's not very useful. So what I say is just just look at them in the eyes the whole time, make eye contact. It's like people can say, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of weird because it looks like you're staring in their eyes." You should only be looking at their eyes like 70% of the time. But it's like, who cares? It's like trust me. If right now like you're worried about you're not very good at eye contact, don't even worry about like 70% or this sort of thing. Just don't worry about it. Just look into their eyes the whole time while they're talking. Okay, it's as simple as that. Don't overcomplicate it. That's absolutely fine, no problem. Remember as many names as possible. Okay, this was another thing in How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's a quote where it says like, to any person, the sweetest word in a language is their own name. Okay, so like their favorite word is always their own name. People care about their name. I was at like a networking event and the person at the front asked, who here cares about their name and it being pronounced correctly? Literally 99% of people put their hand up. Okay, people care about their name. So you're going to get introduced to a lot of people on your first day, like your whole team, people from the office, like this sort of thing. Remember as many names as possible. Okay, so I'll give you a few techniques for this. What I would do is when I got introduced to a name, I would say it in my head about 20 times. Like say I get introduced to John, I'd be like, right, this is John, 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 and like thinking about their face, like what they look like as they're talking, I'm listening to them, I'm looking into their eyes, like making eye, like don't make it weird. Oh man, that just made it sound weird when I said that. But like you're making eye contact. I was just like thinking about their face, like what they look like in the name, and sort of associating, because then it means it's all about repetition. Once I then see their face in future, I'm going to know, right, John. Okay, if you just remember it being John once, you're probably going to forget. But when you've been like John, 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 this is John, this is John, this is John, this is John, in your head like 20 times, you're more likely to remember. So that's what I do. Then the other thing I'd do is, whenever I had a break, I would get like my notebook out or a piece of paper and I'd literally like draw the seating plan and I'd like label it with like, this is John, he sits here, this guy's called whatever, this guy's called whatever, this guy's called whatever. And it meant that even if I do forget, I can then learn it again and I have that thing. This is the exact same thing. I did it in sixth form, the start of year 12. I did it with like the seating plans in our class so that I could get to know everyone and know everyone's name. Like after the first lesson or whatever, I'd quickly like think back to, okay, this was a seating plan, and I'd draw out all the people, label all their names so that I could remember and know everyone's names so I could get to know everyone, right? It's the exact same here. To remember as many names as possible, just don't remember them. Okay, it's not all about remembering, just write them down. It's sort of like a cheat code. It means you don't have to remember because you've then got this sheet of people's names. It means whenever you forget, you can just look at the names and be like, oh, the guy who sits here, that's called John, right? And then the final one is use Microsoft Teams. This was something, again, that people used in year 12 because that was when, like, after COVID, Microsoft Teams became a thing. You could go on the Teams and just search for everyone's name, like everyone in year 12, their name. So if you've got someone's name, you could just go and like search for them on the Teams page. Exact same here. If your company uses Microsoft Teams, they probably will. And like you sort of remember their name, you can go and search for it, and then you'll find them, you'll see their profile picture, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, that's this guy's name. Okay, so that's one there. And that means you can remember as many names as possible because people like their names, and it's good to know people's names. It means you can address them by their name and all this sort of thing. And that's like good social interactions. That's a really good, because a lot of people say, oh, names aren't my strong point. Like everyone says that. Be the one person who's like really good at names, and like people will like you for it. Okay. Next one is have lunch with other colleagues. This is definitely one that I'd say not only on your first day, but especially in your first couple of weeks, first few months, is like have lunch with other people, get to know them so you can talk to them, get to know people in your team, other teams, that sort of thing. Have lunch with them, right? I don't really do it nowadays. These days, I normally just like go for a walk at lunch, something like that. But especially on your first day, have lunch with like the other colleagues, whether that's like your like the other new apprentices who are starting on the first day as you, or like anyone else in your team. Have lunch with them. That's like a really good way to like get to know about them, get to know about their life, like their work, what they do, all this sort of thing. That's a really good way to like to connect and have a good social interaction. And like at the end of the day, this is what we're looking for. Make the best first impression. That's the way it's going to happen. Okay, have lunch with other colleagues. Finally, have a list of questions ready to ask. Okay, and this is exactly what I did for my first day, and also for the office visit I did. For the office visit in particular, I was in like the library for like an hour before my actual office visit, and I literally had a piece of paper and I was writing down a whole bunch of questions I wanted to ask. I didn't even want to ask that many questions. If you remember back to that slide I did earlier, the only questions I wanted to know about really were like flexible working hours, the projects, and study days. But I asked loads of other questions as well, and I had them all ready on this piece of paper prepared, even though I didn't really care. Like I was asking like, what's the holidays like? And all this, like, I didn't really care, right? But I was asking it just because if you're in a situation where you get introduced to someone and they're like, do you have any questions? It's kind of a bit jarring if you just say no. Like, it is absolutely fine if you have to say no, like it is what it is, fine. But it's like, you can make a better first impression if you have questions. Because it's like, you're the curious one, you're interested. It's just leaving a good impression if you're asking questions, you've thought about things, that sort of thing. Which is why you want to have this list of questions, especially even if you don't care. Because if you don't care about asking any questions, it's like every single time you meet someone or like you meet a line manager, you're like, oh, do you have any questions for me? You're just going to be like, no, I have no questions. And it's like, okay, fine. But it's like, you're going to leave a better impression if you've got these good questions which you want to ask, which shows you're interested, shows you're curious, all this sort of thing. So I have that list of questions ready to ask. So, like, for example, when I got introduced to someone who was like the early careers lead, I didn't really have any questions about early careers, but I just started asking them things about like, oh, what's the development like for early careers? And like, what sort of opportunities are there in this like early careers space, right? Or whatever. I don't really care, but it's like, I'm asking those questions because then this person thought I was like curious and like just making a good first impression, because rather than saying, no, I don't have any questions, because then they're thinking like, oh, were you even listening to what I said? Or like, do you even care? Why am I even talking to you? It's like, ask those questions because then it looks like you're interested, and then they're going to like you more because you're interested in what they're doing, right? And then a bonus one here is just, in general, to have good conversations with people, ask questions about themselves. So especially when you're like having lunch with other colleagues, ask them questions about what they do, what their projects, what they do for fun. People enjoy it when they're talking about themselves. It's as simple as that. Like, if you're in a conversation with me and you start asking me about YouTube and like sport or whatever, then it's like, I'm going to enjoy it because I get to talk about myself. I don't care about what you're interested in. I care about what I'm interested in. Everyone cares about what they are interested in. So ask them about what they are interested in. The more you can push the conversation to other people, ask them questions, the better impression you're going to leave. So you can use that one, just a bonus one for you there when you're having lunch with other colleagues. Okay. So there we go. Those are the 3 steps to prepare for success in a degree apprenticeship. We've covered choosing the best company, preparing over the summer, and then we've covered in a lot of detail there what to do on your first day. Okay, so hopefully there's some people who were nervous about their first day, and now they're less nervous because they know more of what they're doing and exactly what to do. Like the details we went into today, you know a lot more about what you are doing. So this is my promise I gave to you at the start. I'll show you exactly how to prepare for success in a degree apprenticeship, and we have done exactly that. So I said at the start, if I impress you with this presentation, that you could have a look at this course here, everything you need to excel in your degree apprenticeship. So if I have sort of wowed you in this presentation, I've been like, yo, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. I've learned loads of stuff about how to prepare, what to do over the summer, what to do on your first day, then I think this is going to interest you. This is about everything you need to do to excel in your degree apprenticeship after the first day. So in this presentation here, I've brought you up to the first day. What this course is about is now, how do you excel in your first week, in your first month, in your first year? How do you manage that university workload? Because there is going to be a lot of work you're going to have to do. How are you going to do it without having to spend your evenings, without having to spend your weekends? I think if you've got to this part of the video, this has been like a long, unedited video. You're clearly really ambitious. You care about doing well in your apprenticeship. You've got a good attention span as well. So respect to you, by the way, for getting all the way to the end of this full guide when you could have been on like Instagram Reels or like TikTok. Massive respect to you. But I think if you've enjoyed this presentation and you've learned a lot of things from this, then all I'd say is, Go look at, click in the link in the description, just go down to the description, have a look at this and see if this is something you'd be interested in, because this is about excelling in your degree apprenticeship for the first week, first month, first year, managing your workload, productivity, all this sort of thing. I think you'd be interested. Go and click the link in the description if I've given you value today. That is the end of the video. Thank you for watching today and have a great rest of your day, and I wish you luck in your apprenticeship. See you in a bit.